Okay, now we have Carolyn Stabilo's there.
Okay, it's Tuesday, June 27th.
27.
At 6:05, and we are opening the meeting of the Conservation Commission for Hampden. And we're going to open the hearing for DEP file number WE 1730236 for Gutierrez Trucking Company Corporation near 357 Glendale Road. It's for a treatment of soil and groundwater contamination with remedial additives from diesel truck spill in roadside drainage swale. But the first thing I wanted to do was talk with the commission a little bit. We haven't done limited projects for a while. We haven't done things that it applies to. So I've made a little summary here. Limited projects applies to, it doesn't limit the project. There's a limited number of projects that it can apply to. That's why it's called limited projects. And it basically enumerates specific situations in which you can do things like work in buffer or in riverfront or other kinds of odd places that you normally wouldn't allow under certain conditions. So I've got the language here so that you can read it. But one thing we need to do is for you to vote whether or not you want to grant limited project status to this particular NOI. There's the top part shows you the definitions of limited projects, saying, but in general, the issuing authority may issue an order of conditions and impose such conditions as will contribute to the interests identified in 13140, permitting the following limited projects. Although obviously you can't have any adverse effect on specified habitat sites. And then it enumerates a whole lot of them. The following are defined as limited projects, provided they are carried out in accordance with general conditions outlined in CMR 53.3 and any additional conditions deemed necessary by the Conservation Commission or the issuing authority. 1053 A through P isn't relevant to us, but Q says assessment, monitoring, containment, mitigation, and remediation of or other response to a release or threat of release of oil or hazardous material in accordance with the provisions of 310 CMR 40 mass contingency plan and the following general conditions. And on the next page, if you find Q, all the general conditions are under that, which are generally things about minimizing work and compensatory storage and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing you need to do is look at the magnitude of the alteration and the significance of the project, figure out the availability of reasonable alternatives, the extent to which adverse impacts are minimized, and the extent to which mitigation measures, including replication or restoration, are provided to contribute to the protection interests identified. And if those, if you can look at those things and say you believe that we should do this as a limited project, then you need to vote yes. Let me know whenever you finish reading. It's a lot of stuff.
You didn't give me page 2, by the way, for the screen.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't give it to me. At least I can't find it.
No. I presume you all reviewed the NOI, we will go over it though, but first we have to accept it as a new project. Anybody have any questions? No? Do you agree to consider this as a limited project? Okay. Do we have to have a second on that? Yeah.
Second.
You want to move, make the motion? And got a second from John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
That's a lot to take in a few minutes.
it is a lot of stuff. All right, the application itself, you want to, first give us a little overview of what it is you want to do?
Sure. My name is Brett Kaminsky with SK Design Group for Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Here on behalf of WJ Geo Consultants, Bill Fabry, CLSP on the project.
What was the name of the company?
My company is SK Design Group Incorporated. We're out of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I'm a wetland scientist on staff, so
Okay.
I'll be dealing with the wetland protection act portion of the project. And Bill here can talk about the remediation.
Okay. Okay,
Yep, my name is Bill Fabry, WJF Geo Consultants. The release occurred back in February of 2022. Couple saddle tanks from a truck ended up, there was an accident. Contamination went into the drainage swale. They hired Clean Harbors to do some initial remediation, which consisted of removing some soil, and we were not involved at that time. And so I believe the work at that time was done under emergency order. And so then they removed as much contaminated soil as they could. And then there was discussion about how to effectively treat this, the residual soil in the groundwater. And so they brought me in as the remediation consultant to do what they call chemical oxidation injection, using either hydrogen peroxide initially to treat some of the soil and the groundwater. And then also bringing another, it's a carbon-based product called Petroflux, which will then treat the groundwater and restore it. And the issue here is the groundwater is sensitive. It's GW1 classification due to there's no municipal water available in that part of Hampden or in a lot of Hampden. And so there's private wells, and so there's stringent groundwater standards to meet. And so that if it was a little bit higher, it would be a different situation. So we use this chemical called Petrofix, and it stays local to where it's injected, and it absorbs the contamination out of solution, and it has an electron acceptor on it also, which eventually degrades the contaminant. And we've had very good success in what we call GW1 areas, groundwater category areas.
okay,
So the project is located, as you know, in the 200-foot riverfront area.
you want to
East
pop up
Brook.
on that? We have a few people watching from away.
Sure.
That's probably fine.
That one, this one,
That-
this one here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that red line is the 200-foot riverfront area. Is measured off median and high water line in East Brook, which I feel confirmed today that those locations are very accurate.
specifically the median high water marker on the north side of the road. It's the edge of or the bank of the stream at the bridge abutment. Very distinct staining on that concrete, so that was a good measurement point. And as you can see, the entire project is in riverfront without a doubt. And that buffer zone is fairly accurate off the DEP polygon located on the east side of the stream. There actually is a strip of BBW on the west side of the stream, very minimal, I would say 5 feet at most. So the project is in the buffer zone, obviously, but there's some upland in the road in between the project site and the resource area. The injection points that Bill spoke of are installed with a drill rig, track mounted drill rig. It's a small, they use a geoprobe, correct? It's basically, the tracks are 5 feet wide. It's not a large drill rig by any means. So based on what I saw out there, it looks like they can keep the tracks on the asphalt. So they, minimally base to the.
Is that the red dots?
What's that?
That the red dots?
No.
Oh.
Well, that's the high water line, right?
That's the high water line. So if we, and then, while we're on this plan, the natural heritage polygon is the green horizontal hatch polygon across in the work area, but I think everybody was on the correspondence from natural heritage that the project is not, there's no impact to that species. If you want to go to the other.
Can I ask a question about that? So the presumption is because it goes a little bit uphill and there's a stone wall that nothing went under that and is in their front yard?
That is correct.
And so has there been any testing done or anything to make sure that nothing went up there?
I'm not the LSP, but I looked at all the data and it seemed like all the data was just right in the drainage swale itself.
There's a plan that actually shows the boring locations.
Yeah,
With the
but
work.
so as far as whether it went into their property, it's just a presumption about it being uphill.
Right, yeah. And with the applications, Brett was mentioning the drilling rig has a rod that it drills into the ground and it pulls back a 2-foot section of screen, and the material is pumped under low pressure, so it can go maybe 3 to 5 feet in a radial direction. So we intend on not just, it doesn't just go into this one location and encompass right around the drill rod itself. It does extend a little bit a ways. So
Okay, so that, there were a lot of things that seemed unclear to me on the application. So
it's fine.
what I want to do is try to ask all the questions tonight and get them all straight.
Yep.
And then you can either add them to your old application or to a new application and bring it back to us while we wait for the check to clear.
Okay, just check right here. So
good.
to bring it.
Yeah, then we'll give it to our treasurer, and as soon as it clears, we can let you know, and you can come
Do I
pick up
make it
your,
out of town of Hampden? For
Yes,
$1,100,
Hampden.
correct?
Pardon me?
$1,100.
some
Well-
forms.
Well, that was what my question would, where's the thing from Mark where he questioned where he sent it?
Well, Mark
Yeah,
sent them a new,
$1,100.
Yep.
yes, Mark sent them a new form with the new fee on it.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's what.
that's
Yeah.
why, all right, because he had questioned the fee.
Yeah,
Right, he
because
raised
it
it, right.
depends.
He
how
did
much
raise it,
riverfront
okay.
is and-
As long as that was,
The riverfront fire wasn't
Right.
incorporated in the first.
and it did get around, that's what I was asking,
Yep, it's-
okay. Because he had sent us a note, said the money wasn't right.
Correct, yeah. I still owe him a portion of money also. I asked him the question, where do I send it? And he did not respond. I owe roughly $362.50.
I think it says at the bottom of the NOI on the back.
Okay. I did send it the $712.50 the first time around, and then there was a balance, and I did whatever the.
And they didn't send it back to you, so
Correct.
send it to the same place.
Okay.
It's, I think it's the regional office. is
Probably a lot.
The address.
Either that or the lock, but it's in Boston.
Okay, so, on the form, I'll go back to the beginning of my form and make sure I get all this filled in. So, there's no town signature on the NOI. There's just a typed in name. in the signature block, which is, when you have an e-file, it's kind of difficult. But when you bring the hard copies to us, they're supposed to have those signatures, your signature and the town signature. So when you're adding in all the extra stuff to the application, to the NOI, you need to find out from Eva who is qualified to sign that. It could be that she can do it herself. She's the clerk.
So would she sign it electronically? Or-
She can sign it electronically or in person, either way. And you need to sign it also, so that we have a hard copy.
Yeah, I guess it was a challenge for me when I'm filling it out and then I see a signature of applicant, I see my name there, so.
Yeah, the EDP is a little, it's new, and so still working out all the glitches. It's, even when you file EDP with the DEP office, then you're supposed to bring us 2 hard copies. And the 2 hard copies never came, so Mark Stinson just sent us e-copies. So now what we have to do is fill in all the stuff that would have come with a hard copy. It's just a matter of working out a new system.
Sure.
So, and I will give you this, which has a checklist of all the little stuff that I'm asking you questions about. Okay, so, on the application, there are no numbers for the linear square feet of bank, riverbank, UBW. Do you have any estimate for that, or do you want to just wait till you go home and figure that out?
So that was a little tricky because it goes, so the percentage of this figure of riverfront in the project is figured out by the total area of the property. Well, that's a right of way of a town. That property is huge. I mean, that right of way goes all the way, follows Glendale Road, it follows, I don't know, Ridge Road.
Can you bring up the map with the riverfront in it, the Xed over stuff?
This
The way
one?
I read that is it would be
No, the
all
other, there's
riverfront
another one that.
property,
There's
showed
another one?
earlier.
Okay, all right.
which be, I
Yeah.
think riverfront is a town on that property. There could
There's
be
another
more
one.
way
There's
outside
one
the
other one.
property.
yeah.
One other one? Oh, I
No?
had 3. No, I had 3. Hold on.
I probably have it here if I don't, if you can't find it,
Yeah, fine.
yeah.
Yeah, that's over the front.
Left?
Yeah, move your mouse to the left, down right there.
Yeah, but there's only 2.
Click on the one on the left.
Click on the one on the left.
That one on the top.
Oh, I see. Yep. Okay.
Click over the X.
Yep. This one, Judy?
Yeah, that one. Okay, what I would do in this case is figure out just where that, the green area essentially is in the blue area. That's riverfront and 100-foot riverfront. And just figure in your limit of work, what's the square feet and linear feet of riverfront that you're going to be working in. I think we could accept that as a number, because you can't, as you said, you can't go all the way down the river.
So we're working in riverfront, but the only impact. I wouldn't even call it impact because it's previously altered to drainage soil. Is less than 2 square feet of temporary disturbance from where the.
Well, I would argue with that too, because it is going to be a permanent thing. I mean, he just said it goes there and it stays there.
It's not.
The boring is just, we'll do, in a matter of like an hour or something, and then we inject into the ground anywhere.
And then within an hour, all the oil is all absorbed.
Piping is removed. And then you backfill the hole with sand.
Well, then your stuff is still in there.
It's below grade and it's the product, but it's not.
It's necessarily negative. I'm just saying you're doing something. I would rather see you call it the area where that there's a red outline that you made around all of the borings. The injections. I would rather have the square feet of that area. I think it's more realistic about the stuff that's going in. It won't change anything about your application, but it's just more realistic about your limit of work and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, if you don't have a way to make that kind of map, I can just hand you one and you could,
So, yeah, no,
okay. All right,
I was under the impression it was just the disturbance of the drill rod itself.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily, when they say impact, it doesn't necessarily mean permanent, long-term, very bad impact. It just means that's where you're working, that's where, you're changing the soil, you're putting something in, doing different stuff. And, so I would rather see that, say with the space. Okay, and then, a little further down, you didn't say anything about the alternative analyses that were done.
I'm not sure I understand the.
Well, one of the things you'll notice in the thing we were looking here was that we're required to consider if all the possible alternatives were considered. And I'm sure you do. That's why you said that's why you picked this particular one. It's one that works well.
The first one was exhausted, which would have been soil excavation. So since that didn't completely get the job done to what we call a level of no significant risk, this is deemed an appropriate alternative analysis.
So you did remove dirt in the first try?
I was not involved, but Clean Harbors personnel did, and
They
did
did,
that under
yeah.
Merck's
Okay.
authorization. And yeah, I'm not sure why.
I don't, but
Okay, just
someone
make it
before you
easier,
did
so
claim,
you could just
remove
write
dirt.
that right in there, that it was exhausted as an alternative. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
And I've now got your natural heritage jurisdiction letter, so I can take that one out. We got an email that said they considered it.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that it was non-jurisdictional, they seemed to change it a little bit and just say they didn't consider the site. That there would be issues to the site, I think, because like you said, it's already kind of a degraded site. If any turtles are in there, they're really dumb. So hopefully they're not. They sometimes are.
If she indicated that if the work is not occurring in priority and estimated habitat, we do not need to review the work.
Well, that sounds non-jurisdictional. So we got two emails that say similar things. If you want, can make a copy of that and attach it when you bring the application back.
Sure.
Just somebody comes in 10 years from now and asks us a question.
But
All this stuff is attached, it's in there. And nobody gets questioned.
plus, this was done after the fact, after we had already submitted it.
Have the Byrons who live in that property made any comments to you, asked any questions? They did get an abutters notice, so I presume they will let us know. Okay. And we need an explanation in the space for why stormwater review isn't required.
Not creating there's no impervious areas created.
You know what?
There's no impervious areas created. There are no pervious or impervious areas created. There's
Right.
there's no-
Okay, so that's what you can write. No impervious areas. All right. Any other questions?
When does this work? Supposed to come out this year?
Yes.
Since soon, you're approved for the
Yep.
process.
Yep. Actually, it's a two-step process because we intend on using the hydrogen peroxide first. And to treat the soil and which would likely, aid in reducing the groundwater contaminants. Then we were gonna sample soil and groundwater, so the concentrations were, and if they were low enough, we would do another application, and if they were, then we would go right to the carbon-based product. And so it's a couple days, easily a couple days. Probably, I would say 2 for the peroxide and then 2 to 3 for the carbon-based product. It's a pretty good stretch of land, and so we just want to make sure that we get it done first. We're looking at,
You can go up in the NOI, you can just page up to where they show all the boring and stuff.
On the NOI?
Yeah, it's attached to the back of the NOI.
so let's say this is like a drilling line, it goes down to our desired depth, which is gonna be probably 10 feet. And we retract it to expose a 2-foot screen, then we inject a certain volume, and then we pull it up another 2 feet, and then inject a certain volume, so that.
This what you want?
we can get-
No,
we get
the actual NOI, the application.
which is probably
You don't have
at this
that one?
point, Probably 6 feet.
Oh, let me see. Conditions and summary. I don't, no, I don't have,
It's not there.
I don't have the NOI.
All right. Never mind.
Make sure that did work or.
Correct. Correct, yeah, so we have some, sample ports that are installed here already, and so we're gonna go back and just do the hand auger and collect. And then the monitoring all on site, present, so there's 6, no, there's 8 of them, and we'll sort groundwater samples and
Yeah.
probably sample quarterly for the next year. To demonstrate that there's no rebound.
Does anybody need the map of the borings? We don't seem to have it to put up there. then. Okay. Okay.
At the end of all this, so good, I don't.
So I'm not the LSP for the project, but Pete Sullivan is, and he'll prepare what they call a permanent solution report. They're submitted to the DEP, and part of the public involvement requirements, you have to notify the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen. So they'll get copies saying that this permanent solution has been submitted. And if you want to take a look at it, it is online. I'm not sure what's required here.
I'm looking for, there was a sheet here. Let's see. It says. And it doesn't say anything about a report. Do you want to put that in the conditions?
Yeah, I would.
You know, at the very end, you know, that it's all, just send a copy to us, sure, sometimes. Send building as well.
Yeah.
Understood.
Typical bureaucracy, so.
Copy of, what do you call that? The final report?
It's called a permanent solution report.
Permanent solution.
And that'll, I'll just have to inform through, in Harvard.
Know that it's over with, file.
It can be emailed, that, you know, it doesn't have to even be.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Usually we only do that with the peroxide, the other stuff is very little for treatment in groundwater.
Okay, so we should add that, binding on to the, I think that's what I'm gonna go. Oh, you're gonna write it in? Because I was gonna give him that to take home with me.
Oh, you are? You mean the,
What, you're
The
writing?
one to refill, yeah, to put the good stuff in, yeah.
I don't.
Oh, not the order, no,
What do you want to do?
the copy of the actual NOI,
Oh, the NOI.
so that won't have.
Could you help clarify something for me so that I get this right, and submitting what you're looking for? So am I allowed to go back into EDP and fill up this information?
No, don't worry about that. We'll, you can just do it on a hard copy. I'll give you a hard copy before you go.
Hard copy, NOI. Provisions on it.
Yeah, and you can just put the revisions in, and then, and here's the list of the things that we need, most of which you haven't had any problem with answering. And then on the back is all the conditions. And I'm gonna write in, send a,
Send the final copy. You want to copy that for ourselves, you? We can run down and copy it.
no, I just wrote it on this one, and she
Okay.
wrote it over there.
Okay.
Well, I just wrote it, because now it's saying.
Okay, so I brought an extra copy of their application. Just for this purpose. There it is. So this is your a copy of the copy you sent to EDP. So you can just fill in the blanks and then initial by it wherever you need to change. And then, at the back, you can get the signatures right on it.
Okay.
And then bring
Is
this
there a certain-
back.
Is there a certain time when, Eva, I believe you mentioned bringing?
Eva is here,
She's here, Monday to Friday Monday to Thursday, approximately 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, only 4-day work week here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no
if I work
Fridays.
with Jane a lot, Jane,
Oh, okay.
Okay. Call her, leave the voice note.
in fact, you can email clerk at hamdenma.gov. And ask her, tell her you're coming, so she can tell you she'll be here.
Clerk at hamdenma.gov, correct?
Yeah.
Why is he-
Town clerk.
Because he has to bring. the
Oh, it's
form.
town, no, she's saying it's
Town.
town, Cindy's saying it's town clerk.
Oh, it's town clerk, sorry.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
Welcome.
And Bonnie won't be here probably. If it's next week, Bonnie won't be here. Who's the person you would pick it up from? So you can go to Eva, we'll leave it with her and you can pick it up. So we'll trade you one for one. And we'll take your word that you're completing it because there won't be anybody to check it. So, but the list is pretty complete.
Probably try to do by the end of the week, certainly.
Okay, now I'm not sure who the best person is to sign as the owner of the property. It has to be a quote town signature, is what Mark said. So I don't see why Eva couldn't do that.
If she'll know, if she can't,
She knows it's a town property.
maybe Mr. Markle, the town
Yeah, or the administrator.
administrator, but
He's
Eva
right
will
across the
know who is the authorized.
Yeah, so when you come in, just ask whoever,
I'd probably go with Mark.
yeah, ask her where Markle is. He's right across the hall. Ask him to sign as
But-
the owner.
But he's only here Monday to Wednesday. So he only works a 3-day work.
Tears.
So it's gotta be tomorrow, otherwise.
Yeah, if it is him, you only can do it
If you
Monday,
can't
Tuesday,
do
Wednesday.
it, tell Eva we're fine if she signs it. Because I don't want it held up for blah, blah, blah.
Is the town even open on Monday? Because the Tuesday's the 4th, so that.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Weird
right.
week, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's open Monday.
On Wednesday?
Yeah,
But I know a lot of people are taking it off.
I know, so, yes.
Yeah, so
That's why you should email before you come.
Yeah.
You may have to pick it up on the following Monday.
because I know
Okay.
the select board was talking about it yesterday, that it's gonna be a skeleton crew, so.
Yeah, Are there any corrections or changes to the order of to the conditions? You want to put them up? You have
Order,
those.
yeah.
I'm going to give them an extra copy here. No, that's the one you scribbled on.
Where were they?
Here, do you want to read these and see if you have any questions? I've included a special condition finding of
Where are
fact
they?
that the resource area boundaries are not approved as the boundary isn't necessarily significant. Since we're taking all the measures off. The river.
Is this what you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so that way, you know, Carolyn can read it or whoever else
Yeah.
wants to. That's what.
Well, that has to be added after page 2. Because page 2, it says right here, the following conditions
Yeah.
are necessary. So that's for that.
So we need to add this in.
Oh. What is it?
So after everything is submitted and all signatures are obtained, what's the time frame after
Technically, the citizens have 10 days to
that? Appeal?
appeal. I've been here 16, 17 years, nobody's ever appealed.
Okay.
So it's a little risky to just go ahead, but,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
yeah, as soon as it's in your hand, you can go.
You can pick it up or you would mail it or
You can
whatever.
pick it up or you can wait and have it mailed. But as long as you're gonna have to come for the signature, you might as well just wait till it's time to pick it up, drop it off, get the signature at the same time. And Eva will put a date on it and we'll trade you for the permit. Now, it's presuming that the check clears by the time you're ready to bring that back. And
So just give this to you.
I'm gonna give it to I'll give it to the treasurer.
then he'll
tomorrow.
let us know. It's usually, how long is it usually, Cindy?
Thanks.
Cindy,
The
you know how
check
long
that-
it takes to check?
For a check
Um,
here?
So Richard usually deposits all the checks from the week on Thursday, so then it would probably, it's usually maybe 9 days for it to clear.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Well, that way, because 9 days it goes out to the bank that it's debited against,
Okay,
and then it comes back. So that would give enough, especially with a holiday and a weekend in between,
yeah,
make sure that there wasn't a return.
say 9, 10 days. So don't worry about next week, it'll be the week after. And everybody will be back. Okay. So any changes to the conditions? Andrew, there's a bunch in here about covering the dirt and all of that.
no, I saw.
These are, I got a new set from Mark of ones that have already been approved in other towns. And so I went looking for matches to ours that have already gone through the official process. Hopefully we'll gradually generate our own set. Yeah.
I'm assuming they're getting all the same. But out there.
You've been out there?
One problem to, it's something else that we didn't know was out there.
He's the Eversource guy that we were talking about, that we were talking before you came about, you getting called up when we have storms.
Yeah.
Of which there have been so many lately.
Yeah, there's not much chance of a water pipe, but the gas lines
Question?
Correct?
Yes, you can keep
and
that.
underground
There will
cable.
also be one that's attached to the actual permit, but that's, so on the other side of it is the check sheet of all this stuff that, you need to double check and make sure it's all filled in.
So just to clarify, for the riverfront impacts, you want the square footage of the work area, the percentage of impact in the work area.
Right,
So I've got, I just did the measurements, if you want them now. but
okay,
The work area is approximately 6,300 square feet. 210 by 30, we'll say. 2 square foot of impact is less than 1%.
How much is the square footage inside that red marked space?
I actually went a little outside it, 6,300 square
And that's the 6,300, okay.
based on this plan. It is the scale. Approximately 6,300 square feet. We're proposing two square feet of impact with a 2-inch diameter boreholes,
Mhm.
so it's less than 1%.
Okay, now the limit of work also will include. So that's the actual work area,
That's the work area.
but the limit of work would include where your equipment will go and all of that. Are there a lot of other attachment materials or anything like that that you have to trucks?
Yes, some service vehicle, sure, yeah. The driller will have his, but he can put his, around the corner, just the track where it will be on the street. We'll set up our hoses and whatnot around the corner, so they're not in the way also.
So around the corner is still on the asphalt?
No, probably not, no, I would.
It would
I'd
stay
rather-
in the swale?
Right, could be, yeah, depending on the length. Because we'll then pump the material up into the drill, to the drill rig.
Okay,
So that's impact, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the limit of work is different than the work area, which is smaller. The limit of work is all the places you can take your trucks and hoses and everything. So there's 2 separate spaces. There's one where they ask for the riverfront impact, and there's another one where they ask for the approximate work area.
Is that on this?
It's on this form, yeah. So, we don't care so much about that, since they said it's in an area they're not really concerned about. We just, if somebody comes and says, oh, that, there was a truck parked 2 blocks down, or somebody came on my lawn or whatever, we just need some indication of where things are gonna be.
That's called the limit of work.
Yeah, it's this last thing, approximate limit of work.
Oh, I see.
So you could just say, if you could say a linear distance that will all be within the swale for some linear feet, that would be just as good as giving us square feet. Sounds like that would make more sense in your case. So kind of be spread down the
We
road.
have been in contact with the police department, there will be a traffic control.
Okay, good.
And DPW's already been informed, they've given us some. The gentleman's. name.
Mark.
Yeah. Superintendent.
So, and you're gonna have a traffic officer, as you said, yeah.
We may have 2. because pretty-
That's a bad situation.
Okay,
As you know why.
any other questions? Any changes to the conditions? Any questions about the conditions?
I don't think so.
Okay, I would entertain a motion. My head doesn't want to say that word.
I'll make a motion to accept,
Approve
to approve the
the NOI,
the NOI with
1730236.
176. So the corrections that'll need to be made as well as the
Conditions.
conditions. That list that we've gone over the job. So,
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Okay, so as soon as that gets back to us and the check clears, done. If you want to call the treasurer or email the treasurer ahead of time and see if the check's cleared, it's the same address except treasurer@hamdenma.gov.
Yeah, everything is Mass.gov.
So he
And then
can,
it's the appropriate person and, work conservation,
Yeah.
town clerk, treasurer.
yeah, So he can tell you if it's cleared so that you'll know everything's good.
We'll just, we, at the local bank, we use monthly savings, so we can check the fencing.
Okay, good. All right,
Well, thanks for, hearing us.
yes, Bonnie needs
Out of
signatures
turn.
before you go. All of you. Oh, yes, and we are closing the hearing for DEP file WE 1730236.
Second.
And we are closing the meeting. All in favor? All opposed?
We're
Okay.
done, nothing else to go over.
Who seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing we had to go over was the national grid. I just wanted you all to see it. And
You want this still recorded?
no, it's fine.
End it, okay.
No, because they're already working. So the